Hey, what's up again everyone? My name is Sean and I'm back again making another masterclass video on how to use Bravo. In this masterclass, we're going to develop a new app. It's actually going to be a contact app like this one here. We're going to take it from start to finish. We're going to introduce some new features. We're going to implement some of the things that we did in the previous classes, and some of the things we're going to take a little further. We're going to create an Airtable database that we can actually get and post information to. We're also going to learn some cool new animation features and how to use pop-up pages in our app. And we're going to kind of tie this all together to actually go ahead and create a complete app using Bravo and Figma. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the app that we're going to be building. I have my phone screen here, and as you can see, this is a basic contact app. Right now I only have one contact in it, which is me. And if we click on that contact, it will load a detailed page of the information of that contact with phone number and email. And if I go back, we also have a add button in the top right. So if we add that, what it'll do is open up a form for us to fill out so we can add our own contacts into it. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna add John, he's my friend. I'm gonna add a number and a fake email here. And we can also go ahead and add a photo. We'll go ahead and open up a camera. Now flip this around real quick. Take a photo. We'll hit use, and you can see that we can add this photo in, and this is actually going to be our thumbnail. So once the photo is added, you can see a little loading and progress there, and once it's added, we can go ahead and hit add contact. Now you may see that the contact hasn't already been added, but we're going to go over this in this tutorial. But if I pull down, Bravo has a tag for a pull down refresh. I can pull down, refresh my page, and you can see that our John contact that we just created is there. And if we click on the details, it'll open that up. You'll see the phone number that we just added and that fake email we went ahead and added there. Now another feature that we're going to add into this app, if I open up the side menu here, on the very bottom over here, I added a review app. So you can collect reviews on your application. When we tap on it, it actually opens up a pop-up that has a Typeform form that we can fill out for our review. So I can go ahead and it says, what is our name? I can go to Sean, hit OK. It'll ask for a rating. I can say 5. And you can leave a detailed description here, and I'll just say awesome app. And then we can go ahead and hit submit, and we can close it in the top right. So that will actually go ahead and leave an app review, and all of this data and information is going to be collected in Airtable. So you can always go back into your Airtable. You can see your contact list in details, and you can also see all the app reviews left by people using this application. Now in this first part, we're going to go ahead, take a look at the app design in Figma, and I'm going to show you some cool features like pop-up pages and page transitions and animations that can kind of give a more high-end feel to your application. So the first thing we're going to do today is take a look at how we can add some cool page animations, some transitions to kind of give a cleaner and smoother feel to your application. So we're going to take a look right now. I removed all the animations and transitions on the current app. So when we tap on a contact, it just brings us to the detail page, and the information and everything is there, and it swipes back and forth. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at, let's look at the Bravo's Bravo tags master list. It's a Notion document that you can access through Bravo's website. and we're going to go down to this page reveal animations. Now in the page reveal animations, this is how things on the page are going to reveal themselves. And we have a few options here, from fades to spins to sliding from different directions. And we're going to use a slide top animation. There's different versions of each one. So there's a light, there's a medium, and there's a heavy. I'm just going to select the medium one. I'm going to copy that there, and it's going to go at the top level of the app page. So if we come over to our Figma file, I want to apply it to the home screen. I'm going to take out that for now because we don't need it there. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that after the title of my home screen. I also do want it on the detail screen because I want everything to kind of slide on up. So I'll paste that there. Now we have one more thing we can add on to kind of add some cool effects, and that's transitions. Now transitions is how one page will go to the next page. So for this one, when we click on our contact, we want the detail page to maybe move up. So before it was sliding left and right, maybe we want it to move up. So we'll go ahead, copy that, and we're going to add that to the detailed contact page as well. So I'll add that. You can either add it after or before. I'm just going to put it before right here, and we'll do that. Now if I go on over to my project app here in Bravo, I'm going to hit the update button in the top right, and if we look at our phone here, I'm going to go ahead and update the app on this Bravo Vision on my phone, and what we'll be able to see is now some transitions. So when I go ahead and tap on a contact detail, you'll see instead of swiping left to right the page, it comes from the bottom because that's what we chose for our transition. And you'll also notice that when a page loads all the elements, that they kind of fade upward, and that's the page transition that we chose. So you kind of notice that everything kind of comes up and fades in when we go between the detail and the contact list. So these are some cool ways that you can add some nice effects to your app. Kind of gives it a more professional feel. It kind of helps the user kind of feel this seamless movement between your apps and pages. So again, you can use those transitions and those page reveal page animations along with your application. Another thing I'm going to go over in this part is how to add a pop-up page. So pop-up pages, if we look at the Bravo tags list here, we're going to do a pop-up page on our app that is going to look like this for when we have people that want to do reviews. So it's not going to be a page or anything that our app is going to go to. It's going to be this little pop-up that comes up on our screen, and we have a few different options that we can choose from. So if we go back to our tags list here, we have a pop-up page. It's a screen that pops over your other app pages, so that's more like a full screen. We have a pop-up with a blurred background, and we have pop-up with a colored background. So if you want blurred or colored backgrounds, you can choose those options. If not, the regular pop-up page will just come right on over whatever current app page you are on. We also have the closed pop-up page, which we are going to have to add in so that people have a way to get out of the pop-up if they no longer want it there. So we'll go ahead, we're going to add this. So if I go back to my Figma file here, you'll see that I have this pop-up page here. Now, if I drag it in, this is pretty much what's going to pop up on our app screen. So when they click on it, it will pop up right here in the middle. So if I move that on the side, you can size it to however you want. You can go ahead and design it how you want. So again, this is going to be for our review, for people who want to review it. In this gray section here, we're going to add a Typeform Webview that people are going to be able to fill out, and we'll later sync that to our Airtable. But we're just going to go over how to create this pop-up in the first place. So again, you want to make however large you want your pop-up screen to be. And then over here on the naming of that frame, we're going to go ahead and add whichever pop-up you want. So in this case, we went with the pop-up blur. But again, you can add color. You'll just add your color code here where it says color code, or you have a regular pop-up. We did the blur, so I added the pop-up blur here. Within that, I have in my header section, I have this little icon here, this close icon, which we had to enter the action close Bravo tag. So again, this one here, action close, and this is gonna let Bravo know that if someone taps this X or close button, or whichever button we choose to, it's gonna close out of the pop-up. So again, if I take a look at my app here, you'll see if I tap on review, it has the pop-up. And then if I want to close out of it, I can hit that X button in the top right and it closes out of it. So that's how you can add pop-ups. You can use it for messages. You can use it for other features of your application. In this case, again, we're going to use it for a review section, which will later go on to how to implement the Typeform form into that. All right, so now that we know how to create a pop-up page, the next thing we're going to do is implement a Webview tag inside of our pop-up page that's going to show a Typeform form for our review on the app. So if people click on top of this pop-up page, inside of that will actually show a Typeform website that we're going to go ahead and create, and we're going to use a Webview to showcase that web page. So we're not going to really be doing any designs for the form in the actual Figma file. We're going to be using Typeform, a separate website on the side, and we'll go ahead and I'll show you that right now. So in this next section, we're going to go ahead, we're going to create our Airtable database that's going to hold our contact list as well as our reviews that people leave for our app. We're also going to learn how to implement that review page right here in our menu that is actually going to be used with Typeform. So we'll learn how to implement that, and we'll learn how to sync our Typeform reviews that we get into the actual Airtable database. So let's go ahead. First thing we're going to want to do is create our Airtable database. So I went ahead and made a new table here in Airtable. I named it contact list. I made two different tables here, contacts, which will hold my list of contacts. That's going to include the name, the description, phone number, email, and the photo of that contact. My second table here is going to be the reviews. I just put these ones in here, but basically the name of the person leaving the review, the rating that they left, and whatever detailed description review. So that's the information that we're gonna need for our contacts and our reviews. Next, we're gonna go look at Typeform. Now Typeform is a site you can use to create these basically forms that people fill out. You can ask questions, do reviews, whatever you want to set up these forms for. You can see in the free plan you can make up to 3 forms, and you can only have up to 100 responses per month. For this case, free plan is all we need. So I went ahead right here and made an app review one. And in here, the first question is going to say, hello, what's your name? So they can type in their name. The second one is a rating, so they can rate it from 1 to 5 stars. And this is where they can leave thoughts below, whatever detailed description of their review they want to leave. And then when they hit OK, that's it. But we need a way to connect our information from this Typeform, so whatever they fill out, and connect it back to our Airtable reviews table right over here. And we're actually going to use something called Zapier to do that. So if you ever used this before or don't know what Zapier is, it's a way to connect information from one app to another. They have a bunch of apps that are integrated into this that work with it, and they call them zaps. And basically zaps, you can send information from one app to another. So in this case, we're going to send information from our Typeform form to our Airtable database. So right here on Zapier, I'm going to hit make a zap in the top left. First thing we're going to have to choose is the trigger. So what's going to trigger this connection to happen? So it's going to be our Typeform form. So I'll go ahead and select that. And our trigger event is whenever a new entry of this Typeform is completed, this event is going to happen. Now I'm going to sync it to my Typeform account. I'm going to hit continue. And we are here. Since it's linked up to my account, we have my app review form from Typeform. Hit continue there, and we'll go ahead and test this trigger out. And there we go. So they went ahead and did that. We'll hit continue. Cool. Second thing we need to do is select the action. So that's going to be our Airtable. So Typeform is going to trigger it. Our action is we're going to add all that information into Airtable. So we want to create a new record, right? Because we're not updating anything. We're creating a new record within our Airtable. I'm going to go ahead and select our Airtable account. And I'm going to hit continue. Cool. So we need to choose our base, their database that we're going to be syncing it to. And it should be, sorry, sometimes it doesn't scroll low enough. There we go. Contact list right there. And the table we want to do, we should have two tables. We have our contacts and reviews. But again, our Typeform form is for our app reviews. So we're going to select reviews here. And we have, of course, the three different columns in our database, which was name, rating, and review. So our name is going to be, oh, it doesn't show it all. We'll hit show all options here. Our name is going to be from Typeform. When they answer the question, hello, what's your name? That's the, whatever answer they give is what we want to put in the name area. Rating, it's the what would you rate this app, right? We'll take that and put that into the rating area. And then reviews is going to be the section where they can go ahead and leave whatever review they want or leave your thoughts below. And that's going to be that section right there. So once we hit that, we can say right here, our action is going to be to create a record in Airtable. It's going to be part of our contact list database in the reviews table of it, and the name, the rating, and the review should be all that information connected nicely there. So we'll test and send. Everything is good, and we're going to go ahead and turn on this zap. Close out of that. Cool. And there we go. Now we have that set up. So if we go to our list here, well, now we have 3. If you remember, we had 2 before, but I'm going to go ahead and delete 2 of these. And I'm going to go ahead and open up our app here just to make sure everything is good. I am going to update this. Move it on the side just a little bit. And we're going to go ahead, open our menu, review this app. And I'm going to go ahead and fill out this review. So name, we're going to put something different. We're going to put John. We'll name it, we'll do 3 stars. And this app is okay. And we'll hit submit. There we go. And then we'll close out of the reviews, and you can see right here in our Airtable section under our reviews table, We have the review we just left, which was John, 3 out of 5 stars, and this app is okay. So now that we have our connections between our Typeform and our Airtable, how do we actually display that Typeform on our application? We're actually going to use a tag. If I can find it right here, I believe it's under components. We're going to be using a tag called Webview right over here. And this is a web page where we replace the content of a rectangle. So what this does is we create a rectangle in our Figma design. We give it this Bravo tag right here, and whatever website we put within this section here is what's going to be displayed within the rectangle layer itself. So if we look at our app, this review form here, I have this gray rectangle. And if I look at the rectangle right here, you'll see that I have the Bravo tag for the web view, and then I have the URL for the Typeform form that we created right over there. So adding that, again, it has to be a rectangle. It's not going to be a frame or anything. It is a rectangle that you have to add it to. So when you create your rectangle, name it with that Bravo tag, with the web view and the website, and that website will then again show inside of your Bravo app. All right, so now let's go ahead and add some functionality to our contact app. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at creating a form that will open up whenever we wanna add a new contact. Now, Bravo does have some Bravo tags that we can use here. That way we can input things like the name, phone number, and even an image for our profile image of that person's contact. So let's go ahead, let's jump into Figma and let's start that now. All right, so the next thing we're going to want to do is set up a form that when someone fills it out, that it adds all that information into our contacts. So again, if I bring my app right here, we have the add in the top right, and when I tap on that, it brings a form up. So in order to do that, we're going to have to create a form, and Bravo has some Bravo tags that we can actually use to create this. So right under, if we look at the Bravo tags master list, there is a form section here, and there are a bunch of tags that we can use for depending on the input field and what that input field is taking. So for our instance, we want to create a name, a description, a phone number, and an email. So if we look here, name and description will probably be single line text. Phone number, we have telephone here, and then for email we have email, and then we also want a section where we can add a photo, and that is right over here. We have image, right? Now you'll see under this where to label the tag. These input fields, these tags have to be added to a text layer, and our image field has to be added to a rectangle layer. And what that means is in our design, so if I open up this container here and I look at the name section here, I can just zoom in a little bit. If we look at this name section here, you're not naming any frame or anything. You're not wrapping this section in a frame and naming it. You're actually going to go to the text that you want to, where you want the input to go, and you're going to name that text field with the Bravo tag. All right, so you're not naming the rectangle, you're not naming the group, you're not naming the frame. You're going to directly name the text layer with that Bravo tag. So again, we have a name and description here that we are using the input text, which is this single line text right here. And then we have where we're going to add the phone number. We have input tel for phone number, and again we have email, which will be this section here, and that's going to be input email. And then if we look at the tags for image, we have to add it to a rectangle layer. So for this here, I went ahead and just made a rectangle with a add photo icon and text right over there. But again, we have to name the rectangle layer. So under here, under components, I have input image. So I added that Bravo tag to it. Now, the last thing we want to make sure we have is the submit button. So if we go back to the forms here, we need something that's going to submit the data and trigger this submission. So we do need to add this action submit to what we want to trigger that submitting. So I went ahead and made a green add contact button here, and you'll see under here I have under the text a submit action right over there. So when someone clicks on add contact, that is going to submit all this information that we have here to our Airtable database. Now in the next section, I'm going to go over how to set up the syncing of information from this form to our Airtable database, along with how we're going to grab our current contact list and detailed information of our contacts for these two screens here. Cool, now that we have a functional form in our application, the next thing we want to do is make sure everything connects to our Airtable database. This goes for getting the information from Airtable along with posting the information from our form when we want to add someone new into our contact. So we're going to take a look at Airtable. We're going to use and create a database in Bravo, and we're going to link and make sure everything is connecting correctly. That way our app has all those features. Now that we have our form built and we have our pop-up screen for our review, now it's time to go ahead and sync all of that information from Airtable to our application. So if we look at our Airtable, we want to make sure that our contact list that we have here is added to our detail page or our contact list page, and we want to make sure all that information appears in our detail page when we select a certain contact. And we also want to make sure that when we add a contact, whatever we add here gets added to our Airtable database. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to jump into Bravo right now. And under data library, we're going to go ahead, I have it here, but I'm going to go ahead and walk through it one more time. So you're going to hit new collection. You're going to use the Airtable wizard, which basically will ask for the Airtable link, URL link, and your API key to get it connected. So those two simple steps will get you all your connections to your Airtable database. So once you go ahead and go through that, you're going to find the URL. So we'll do that real quickly. Paste that there. Next is where you can get your API key, plug that in, and it'll connect everything. All right, so once you get connected to your Airtable base here, you're gonna have these two options on the side. You're gonna have get list and get detail. You're not gonna have this post contact, but this post contact is what we're gonna now make, and this is gonna be used for our form when we add a new contact to our list. So what you can do to create this post contact is you can hit this plus button here. You're going to create a new request here on the side. You're going to want to change this get to post. Okay. So once it's on a post, you're going to grab your URL for your Airtable. Now this is your API URL. In order to get that, you can go to your Airtable base here. You can hit the question mark right over here, and at the very bottom you have API documentations. Now when you open this up, you can actually come down to this table of contents here and go to contact tables, and we can go to the create records section. Cool. Now in the left here, you'll see an example request for creating a record. You can actually go ahead and copy that URL there, and that's the URL that we're going to use. So that's what you'll paste right here in the post. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is, we can come back to the API documentation here. We're going to want to add the authorization, the bearer, and your API key for Airtable. So under the header section here, you're going to want to add authorization, bearer, and right over here you're going to want to add your own API key for your account. Next, we're going to go to body. Now in body, we need to add a JSON here. And again, we can go back to our API documentation for Airtable, and what we're copying is this section after data right over here. Right? So from the quotations right after data, everything within those two quotations, we're going to copy and paste it back into this area here. Now once we paste it, we're going to want to change that information over here to the information that we're adding to our form. So in order to do that, you're going to add a $, curly brace, and in between the curly brace, you're going to name whatever you want to use to describe the information going into that particular spot. So we're just going to name it the exact same thing: name, description, phone, email. And under photo, it's under the URL section that you're going to want to put in that $, curly brace, and description there. So you can go ahead, change that according to what you're going to be putting in. And then under parameters, we're going to want to put all that information here in the keys. So we're collecting a name, description, phone, email, and photo, and you can just put some placeholder information right over there. All right, and then once you put in that placeholder information, you can go ahead and hit send. This is actually going to add this information here to our contact, so you can actually see that it added that information right there. It didn't add a photo because we didn't actually put in an actual URL for the photo, so that's going to be blank. But we know it works because this information here is matching the exact same information that we put here. I'm just going to delete that. All right, so we have our data library all set in Bravo. Now it's time to bind all this information to our actual app. So we go to projects, we can open up our project here, and then in our home screen, we'll do that first. So again, we're going to want to connect to our contact list data library. We're going to want to make sure we're getting the list, not the details, because we want Bravo to create this element for each item in our list. So make sure that we go ahead and make this a little bigger. We're going to make sure that our contact item, which is this element right here, is connected to the record. So for each record that I have in the contact list, it's going to create this element here. And we're going to make sure that the name is linking up to the name, the description to the description, and the photo is the photo URL. So that's what we're linking and binding to the home screen here. Next, we'll go to our details page. Again, same thing. We're connecting to our contact list. This time we're connecting to the contacts detail. And within the bio, we are linking the name to the name, our photo to the photo URL, description to the description. But this time we're adding the phone number and emails to the contact. Now the final one is going to be our contact form. So for this one, we are actually going to connect it to, again, our contact list data library, but we're going to choose that post request that we chose, that we just created. Now Before we get into linking everything, you can see that there's another section down here that is the response action. So if this form is submitted successfully, you can say show alert, go to page, open a URL, or refresh. We're just going to say go to page, and we're going to make it go back to the home screen. If there's an error, it'll show an alert, and you can write whatever error message you want to put. So again, in here under our frames, we're going to want to look for those input sections. So you want to look for text, you're going to look for that cursor, the text cursor. And for that text input, you're going to want to make sure that we submit the information that is put into this section of the form to, in this case, name. For the description or father, we're going to put it to description, the phone number to phone, and the email to email. And we also want to make sure that our photo is uploaded to the photo section. Now the last thing we want to do is make sure that this add contact, whatever button that we had, should have some type of link here. Now we don't need to select anything, Bravo does it by default, but we do want to make sure that it does have the data library symbol here, so we know that it was properly tagged with the Bravo tag and that it's going to submit our information. So there you go. That's how we can now connect all our information from our Airtable list here and connect it to our Bravo app. So if I actually go ahead, I can manually add something into Airtable. And we're gonna make it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we don't have a photo, so we'll leave that blank. But if we look at our design here, this is the default photo that's going to show, so that will be the photo when we take a look at our app. So if I come down here and I update this Bravo app, it should now have that new contact that we manually added into Airtable right over here. So we know everything's working. Again, we can add a contact, and we can say friend and number, whatever the email is. We're not going to add a photo, and we can hit add contact. Now what you might notice is that when we add a contact that we just added, our app didn't refresh, and we don't see that contact that we just added here. In order to do that, we need to right now update the Bravo app, but that would mean that we would have to close out the app every time we add something in order to see our new contact, which we don't want. We want to make sure that it can refresh within the app, which is what we're going to go over in the next section. All right, the last thing we're going to go over now is actually how to refresh the data in our application. Normally, once our app loads, it grabs the information from Airtable and displays it in our application. But if we're going to go and add 3 or 4 multiple contacts to our contact list of our app, whenever we add them, we want a way to update the information that is being shown on our app. And Bravo actually has a Bravo tag that allows us to do this, and we're going to go over a few different ways that we can use this tag. Again, we're going to have to add something that refreshes our app while we're in the app so that we can see the new information and data that we're adding into our Airtable database. And right now we can't do anything, but if we look at Bravo and their Bravo tags master list, you'll see right over here they have a section for refreshing pages. And in here there's a few different ways that we can utilize the refreshing. There's a pull to refresh, which is you can pull the page down to refresh the page. We can have refresh always, refresh once, or we can have refresh intervals, and we can actually set the intervals in which it updates. just so we can actually control the refreshing, we're gonna go ahead and use this refresh pool. Now where to add this label and tag, it has to be the top level app page. So we'll go ahead and copy this here. We'll take a look at our Figma file, and we want it to, of course, apply to this home screen where it'll show our list of apps. So I can actually come, let me just minimize a few of these in here, and I can paste that tag right over there. We'll come back to our Bravo section here, and we will refresh our app. We'll do the same here. So our app looks the same. Now, if I were to go into our contact list here and say delete a few people, right? So now we only have 2 contacts, Sean and John. When I come back to my app, you'll see that this, our list is still the same, right? Nothing changed. It's not matching our 2 that we have here. But now, because we added the pull down to refresh, you'll see we can pull down, it'll refresh the page and update it with the information that we have from Airtable. So again, we can go ahead and add a name here. We can add it with the number. And we can add an email. So when we go back, again, nothing's there, but we can go ahead and pull down to refresh, and you'll see that it gets added. Again, we can try with our form. We can add that contact, and then what we can do is pull down to refresh and see that our contact list is updated. Now you don't have to do pull down to refresh. Again, if we look at our list here, you can have it always refreshing, or you can even set it to intervals, so you can say maybe every 2 seconds it refreshes. I would say if you're looking to create a news feed that is always updating, you may want to put in intervals. If not, by default, I mean, you have it refreshing by once. As you can see, this is the default behavior. But the pull down to refresh is always a great way that you can kind of give feedback to your user that when they pull down, they are refreshing the information that's going to be displayed. And there we go. We started from beginning to end, and we created our very own app using Bravo. Bravo is an awesome way where you as a designer and as a creative can take these projects from start to finish, just as we did with this application here. No longer are you going to be stopped by not being able to code or not being able to develop an application. You can now be a brave designer yourself and take these apps all the way through with your own creative mind. We want to be able to help and motivate designers and creatives to go ahead and develop these applications that you folks design already. So go ahead, take your designs, whether it's in Figma or Adobe XD, bring it into Bravo and bring those apps to life. So again, you have the power as a creator and designer to take these from design to development and publishing all on your own. Again, my name is Sean, and until next time, see ya.